Ben sat across from Grace in their favorite Italian bistro where the warm flicker of candles and the soft whisper of classical music had always been a balm for their hectic days. Tonight, though the familiar setting felt suffocating, the atmosphere was thick with unsaid words and Grace's restless hands tugged at the edge of her napkin. Her eyes wandered across the room, deliberately avoiding Ben's steady air. After years of reading her moods, Ben didn't need words to know something was wrong. At last, she raised her eyes, her face hesitant yet charged with nervous energy. "I've been thinking," she began, her tone carefully measured, though betraying a spark of excitement beneath. "Maybe it's time we tried something different to reignite the flame." Ben blinked, momentarily shaken by her suggestion. He forced a light chuckle to hide his unease. "Different? What do you mean, Grace?" She hesitated, her fingers clutching the napkin tighter, before exhaling deeply as though gathering courage. "What if we gave each other a free pass? Just one night, no strings, no judgment, simply a chance to experience something new." Her voice, though casual, carried an edge of eager anticipation that made Ben's chest tighten. "You're saying you want to be with someone else?" he asked, his voice steady despite the ache building inside. "Not permanently," she replied quickly, almost dismissively. "Just once to see what it feels like. Nothing serious." She laughed, a light, airy sound meant to dull the weight of her words, yet it only deepened the wound. Ben studied her closely. There was no shame, no doubt, only an eager spark once reserved for him. It was a look he had treasured but now found unbearable. He swallowed hard, forcing his emotions into silence. "If that's truly what you want, we can talk about it at home," he murmured. The rest of the night dragged on in heavy quiet. Grace, relieved she had spoken her mind, grew more animated as though her secret had been lifted. Ben, however, sat lost in disbelief, his thoughts storming in a torrent of shadows. By the time they returned home, he was already forming a plan. That night, while Grace slept soundly beside him, Ben lay awake, eyes fixed on the ceiling. Her proposal played again and again in his mind, each repetition cutting deeper. The years of building trust, the sacrifices, the dreams, all diminished by her careless suggestion. Unable to carry the weight alone, he picked up his phone and messaged Rick, his closest friend. Minutes later, Rick called, his tone steady and concerned. "Ben, what's going on? You don't sound right," Ben retold. The evening, his words heavy with shock and pain. When he finished, Rick was silent for a moment before speaking with measured clarity. "Listen, Ben, this isn't about you. It's about her crossing boundary. Handle it wisely, but don't let her make you question your worth. I'll stand by you no matter what. Think clearly before acting." Ben nodded, quietly, taking his friend's words to heart. "I'll give her what she wants," he said at last, "but on my terms." Over the next few days, Grace's spirits lifted. She mistook Ben's calmness as tacit consent, even enthusiasm. She became oddly affectionate, though her touch carried a hint of guilt hidden behind anticipation. Meanwhile, Ben moved with silent precision, securing his finances and discreetly moving personal items to Rick's house under the guise of decluttering. Every step was deliberate, a safeguard to ensure he wouldn't be caught off guard. One evening, Ben brought up the subject casually. "So," he asked, his voice calm and neutral, "any idea who you'd use your pass on?" Grace's eyes widened briefly before she masked it with a nervous laugh. "No one in mind. I just thought it could be fun. Don't you ever feel bored?" "Not Really, Ben answered smoothly, choking back the anger her words sparked. But I get it if that's how you feel. Well, Grace thought things were unfolding perfectly. Ben was carefully laying the foundation for what would come. When she announced the night she intended to use her pass, Ben acted indifferent. Have fun, he said with calmness concealing the storm inside. He watched her leave, dressed flawlessly, her excitement undeniable. As the door shut, Ben's fists clenched, bracing himself for the night ahead. Alone in their home, he poured a drink, his gaze drifting over the space they had built together. Every object, every photograph pierced like glass shards, reminders of what they had once shared. As hours crawled past, his thoughts darkened, picturing what she might be doing and with whom. When Grace returned before dawn, her makeup smudged, her hair undone, her expression shifted between smug satisfaction and uneasy guilt. Ben welcomed her with calm indifference, his torment buried beneath a composed mask. I hope it gave you what you were searching for, he said evenly. I hope it was worth it. The following morning, over silent coffee, Ben broke the stillness. Did you enjoy your little experiment? He asked, his tone deceptively light. Grace waved off the question with a nervous laugh. Ben, it was just one time. Don't make it big deal. We're still us, aren't we? His expression stiffened, the mask he had worn slipping away. Are we? He asked, his voice laden with years of sacrifice and unspoken hurt. Rising to his feet, he let his anger surface. Ooh. You realize what I've given up for us? How much I've poured into this life, and you threw it away for a fleeting thrill. Grace sat frozen in silence, unable to answer. You wanted freedom, he said coldly. Fine, enjoy it, because now I will too. In the days that followed, Ben became a ghost in their house. His silence was deliberate, his distance icy. Behind the scenes, he finalized his plans, managing finances, meeting with lawyers, and finding focus in the chaos. When the time came, he invited Grace to dinner at the same Italian restaurant where their unraveling began. As they sat together, Ben slid a folded paper across the table. This is for you, he said, his tone calm yet edged with finality. Grace unfolded it, her face draining as she read the separation papers. Her voice trembled. Ben, this isn't what I wanted. No, he replied, his voice firm and unwavering. But it's what I chose. Ben sat quietly across from Grace, their usual corner table bathed in soft candlelight. The music, once a comfort, now pressed down like an oppressive weight on the silence between. Grace's fingers twitched against her napkin, her eyes scanning the room, as if searching for escape. Ben, deeply attuned to her after years together, recognized the heaviness in her posture. Finally, she lifted her gaze, locking onto his. Her voice, steady yet quaking, with nervous energy, broke through. I've been thinking, she said slowly, choosing each word with care. Maybe it's time we tried something different. Something to reignite the flame. Ben lifted a brow, momentarily unsettled by the unexpected proposal. He forced a thin smile, trying to quiet the knot tightening in his chest. Different, he repeated slowly. What exactly are you suggesting? Grace hesitated, her lips parting before she finally exhaled, the tension spilling out with her words. What if we gave each other a free pass? Just one night. No strings, no judgment. Just a chance to explore something new. The room seemed to freeze as Ben absorbed her words. He searched her expression, hoping for a trace of doubt or remorse, but instead saw something else, an eager glimmer, a thrill that once belonged only to him. Swallowing the ache rising inside, he answered evenly, "You mean to be with someone else?" "Not forever," she rushed to say, as though easing the blow. "Just once. It's not serious. Doesn't change anything." She released a nervous laugh, but the sound rang hollow. Ben leaned back, his mind swirling. "If that's what you really want," he murmured softly, "we can talk more about it at home." The days that followed widened the silent rift between them. Grace mistook Ben's outward composure for tacit consent. Even imagining his calmness as excitement, she grew more affectionate, her gestures carrying a strange buoyancy. But Ben saw through her. This wasn't love. It was anticipation. While she floated through her fantasies, Ben moved quietly and deliberately in private. He met with a lawyer to safeguard his finances and drafted early separation papers. Treasured belongings he couldn't risk losing were discreetly shifted to Rick's place under the guise of decluttering. Each step was calculated, a shield against the storm he knew was coming. When Grace announced the night she planned to use her free pass, Ben's reply was chillingly steady. "Have fun," he said simply, his tone stripped of all emotion. As she stepped out, radiant in a dress long untouched, Ben felt a stab of pain but steeled himself. She had chosen. That night crawled as Ben sat alone in the home they once filled with laughter. The walls echoed hollow. He poured himself a drink, his gaze drifting to photographs of their shared past, now poisoned by betrayal. When Grace crept in just before dawn, her smudged makeup, unkempt hair, and conflicted expression spoke volumes. Ben greeted her with startling calm. "I hope it was worth it," he said, his voice devoid of malice but laden with finality. Grace faltered, blindsided by his composure. She had expected fury, accusations, anything but cold detachment. In the days that followed, she tried desperately to patch the fracture. Tearful messages, frantic calls, endless apologies flooded his phone. "It didn't mean anything," she pleaded. "I just wanted to spice things. I still love you." But Ben's silence was unyielding, a mirror reflecting the emptiness she had created. Soon he moved into Rick's apartment, his absence devastating her. Reality crashed down, her regret consuming her. Alone in their house, she spiraled into remorse, clinging to fragments of what was gone. Meanwhile, Ben worked with steady resolve. Regret, he decided, wasn't enough. Grace had to grasp the depth of her betrayal. One evening, as he shared his plan with Rick, his friend hesitated. "Are you sure you want this? Revenge won't heal you, Ben." Ben's eyes hardened. "This isn't revenge. It's about making her understand. Treated my trust like it was nothing. Now she needs to feel what it's like to be discarded, to doubt her worth like she made me doubt mine." Rick nodded slowly. "Just don't lose yourself in this." The next day, Ben set his plan into motion. He spoke casually with mutual friends, dropping subtle remarks about moving on, about finding someone who truly valued loyalty. The whispers spread quickly, reaching Grace and fueling her anxiety. Her messages grew frantic. "Ben, if you're seeing someone, I need to know. Please, let's talk. Love you." It was wrong. He read them all but never answered. Then, in one precise move, he posted on social media a message of gratitude for a fresh start paired with an image hinting at a new chapter. The implication was clear. Grace called within minutes, her voice breaking. "Ben, is it true? Are you with someone else?" His reply was measured and cold. "Why do You care. You wanted freedom, remember? That's not what I meant, she sobbed. I thought we'd still be us. I was wrong. See it now. Please come back. After a long pause, Ben's voice cut through, calm, unyielding. No, Grace. This was your it. I gave you my loyalty and you threw it away. Now you live with that. In the weeks that followed, Ben carefully dismantled what remained of their life. He contacted a realtor to sell their house, each step severing ties. For Grace, every move was a painful reminder of what she had destroyed. Last, Ben agreed to meet her one final time at the Italian restaurant where their downfall began. Grace arrived fragile, her eyes dark from sleepless nights. Ben, she whispered, her voice quivering. I know I hurt you. I thought freedom would make me feel alive, but I was wrong. I lost sight of us. And now I know I'll never find it again. Ben listened, expression unread. When she finished, he spoke, voice steady and resolute. You didn't just ask for one night, Grace. You shattered everything we built. You traded years for fleeting thrill. And now you face the consequences. This was your choice. Tears streamed down Grace's face as she reached for his hand. Please, Ben, don't do this. I'll do anything to fix it. Ben shook his head. You had your chance. Now you have your freedom, a free pass to move on without me. With that, he rose and walked away, leaving Grace to carry the weight of her choices. As he stepped into the crisp night air, a wave of liberation washed over him. The wound of betrayal remained, but it was tempered by the knowledge that he had reclaimed his dignity and his future.